Welcome back to the Development Tank. Pumped for today. We've got Site Insiders with Gav. If you know, you know. Today he's bringing to the table another one that didn't work. I just want to let you guys know there is so many that don't work, it would blow your mind. 99 out of 100 do not work. So if you're at home doing it, doing the sums, doing the maths, doing the due diligence, if it doesn't work, barely any of them work. So keep it up. You're on the right track. If you're finding ones that don't work, we've got Project Snapshot with Claire. Amazing project. Yeah, amazing floor plans, facades. Team's doing a great job. And next one, just before I leave you, 3 areas of Melbourne that we are super bullish on inside this office. 3 areas. So these are areas we're developing in now, but these are areas that we think are going to continue to outrun the rest of the areas in Melbourne from a development point of view. They are 3 areas that development is encouraged, the sites work, minimum overlays, all these sorts of things. So they are 3 areas that you would develop in. So those 3 are around the McKinnon High School zone. So the first one, we're talking Ormond, McKinnon, Bentley East, these sorts of areas. Closest to train, you can get to the water from there, not far from the city, fantastic villages. Those areas have been gentrifying for a fair while, and they're amazing spots that we are super keen on. That's the first one. The second one is in and around your Caulfield. Caulfield North, Caulfield South, Caulfield itself, so close to the CBD of Melbourne. It's got transport. Like I said, it's in Glen Ira, which a council that does encourage development, and you can get your permits relatively quickly. So very bullish on this area and quite tightly held as well, which is important. So they're the first 2 in and around the McKinnon area, in your Caulfield area. So both Glen Ira Council there, and then over to Bayside Council in your Hampton and your Sandringham areas. Both amazing access to the beach. Both got the public transport, the schools, the villages, the parks, all these sorts of things. Great areas, and only areas that are going to get better and better. And we do a lot of business in there, and we will continue to do so for those reasons I outlined. So super excited with those 3. If you are looking and you are looking to buy a site, make sure you head over to those areas, look at them, do your due diligence. You will find they stack up a little bit better than maybe other areas, because remember, we are chasing those solid resale values. That is what is going to make these deals stack up. That's what's going to make us money. So they're the 3 guys. All right, let's get into it. Site Insiders, if you know, you know. Site Insiders, if you know, you know. Welcome back to the hot seat, Gav.
Good to be back in again.
Love it. Today we're talking about a site that we didn't buy. So there's a few people out there in the community that love hearing about the ones we don't buy. So
yeah, look, not all sites can be winners. This one though, it did have positives. So it was a process, as you know. We've got our due diligence process, and we did get through quite a bit on this one before we sort of pulled the pin. So it was off market. Came to us in a great area. It's in Caulfield East, so it's 15 Tattenham Street in Caulfield East.
Yeah, great.
So we don't mind
Caulfield. Love
sure.
Caulfield, no issue.
But it was off market. It was reasonably priced. It was a good size, and we'll get to that. So we were sort of pretty confident initially, thinking, yeah, look, we'll really push this one, see how far we can get with it. And as we sort of dug deeper, we just found some red flags that we couldn't get around.
Great. So guys, we'll hear about the positives and we'll hear about the negatives. But I think, the magic with this one is seeing enough positives that we dive a bit deeper, but then seeing the negatives, but then not getting too emotional to say, hey, we really want to buy it because of the positives, and ignoring the negatives. You need to put them all, and you need to put your commercial hat on and go, hey, you know what? If I was a buyer, which I know you're really good at, Gav, if I was a buyer, would I have a problem with this site? And ultimately we did. But I think got to take emotion out of it, and there'll always be other sites. So this is going to be interesting. So talk us through where we are, Gav. Love Caulfield North, Caulfield South. This one's Caulfield East. As you can see, nearly sub 10 Ks from the city. Amazing.
Yeah, only 10 Ks from the city. Zooming into the area now, we don't have to get too into it here, but at least let people know where we're talking about. Obviously, Caulfield Race Course just there, Caulfield Station and Town Centre there, our beloved Carnegie Town Centre just over the road here. And also, let's not forget
where you'll find Gav on a Saturday night perusing the restaurants.
I'll be there at the hot pot. Then you've got Glen Huntly Station just here. And look, even though it's probably not that relevant to this site, but good to know, fantastic family park just here.
Your favourite park in Melbourne, Gav?
It's one of them, yeah. But it is good. If you live in the area and you haven't been down there, it's great. It's really good for kids and parties and stuff like that. So maybe we just also touch on briefly, we are in Caulfield East here. We are close to Trainland. We'll touch on that. But as we've discussed before, we've got Carnegie Town Centre here. But this pocket of Carnegie, I believe it's pretty high in your areas that you like.
Yeah, no, I do like it for sure. I think it's pretty tightly held. We haven't got ourselves in there. But yeah, as you can see, amazing spot. Access to all things, busy roads, arterials to get you into the city, to get you to the little villages that sort of that part of Glen Ira has to offer. Yeah, love it.
Great. So let's get into the site here. So we have, and I'll just get this tab open on Land Checker. So we're 760 odd square meters, which is great. The frontage, I think, was just on 15.7. It is a south facer, so we were intrigued, at least anyway, primarily because of the location. Initially, we could see that, yes, it's close to the train line, but we also noticed that there is some new townhouses just here in the corner, which I think this one here sold quite well. And then we had a really good side-by-side comp, only a street away, which I think ended up selling for 2.2 or something like that. It was a solid comp. So we thought, look, there's definitely room here for us to get in and dig a bit deeper.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I think, as you're mentioning there, Gav, I guess the things jumping out for me are instantly, I suppose, which you'll get into, is the private open spaces of some of these surrounding dwellings. I'm seeing a pool lurking there, and even though it's not against planning regulations to shadow pools, you probably end up with a pretty unhappy neighbour and objections, and depends how deep their pockets are, but potential issues at VCAT as well. So it's just something to watch.
It's time.
Yeah,
it's time. So yeah, you're right. So we've got private open space to be considered here on this side here, a little here, but also with this, and it's a very old, probably 60s or 70s, I don't know, unit complex here. For what we could see was just this area down the side here was the private open space, and back in those days, you wasn't a very high percentage of private open space required, evidently. So feedback from our designer was that we would be able to get some reasonably good sized townhouses on the side if we we're going to do side by side, which is probably the only option here really for us. But the level one, so the upper level, would have greater side setbacks. So what that would mean is the design of the upper level would be narrower, which, because of the depth of this block, we've got enough space there that we're not going to lose in the overall size of the dwellings, but we may just be a little bit restricted in how we can set out the design.
Yeah, correct, spot on, and it's something you probably think you can work with, but it is nice to have more so that width in your design and that sort of thing. Just simply because either side, down either flank there, you have got shadowing issues. So anyway, it's still sort of working at this point, Gav, but We're ticking a couple of boxes, but we're crossing a couple as well. Yeah,
that's right. Look, great front setback. Again, you may have slightly longer dwellings, but you're still going to have a fantastic backyard. So other considerations that we've got here are, we've got a power pole here right on the boundary. I think it was 700 on the other side of our boundary. Then a smallish tree here, which wasn't too mature, but it was definitely something for consideration. A desktop assessment by our arborist, he was quite confident we'd get the second crossover in there without even removing the power pole. But I think I had a number in, and we'll see in a sec. I'm pretty sure I had a number in there for the power pole to be removed if needed. What else we're looking at? The other consideration as well, we've got to keep in the back of our mind here, it was off market. We were the only people talking to the agent at the time. So it was offered pretty cheap. So we had dollar signs in our eyes. What he also did mention though is that it is owned by an elderly gentleman who had actually moved out into care. He was over 90s, and there wasn't much attention given to the yard probably for the last 30 years. So he was saying that he got into the backyard and he couldn't even get down halfway down it to see if there was any trees. Initial assessment from them, from the other people who were looking at it, was that there was no major trees of concern, but if we were going to be taking the next step, we'd definitely get an arborist down there to have a look. Now, I did go down, and we'll touch on a few things that I saw, but one thing that I did notice when I was there is even getting in the front gate was difficult, to be honest, with the trees that were overhanging. It was quite dense. Yeah. And then I tried to get through the back of down the side of the house, and I looked over the fence, and it was a jungle, mate. I don't know how you would even get down to the back of the property. So you would probably have to add, maybe an extra few grand, I think, at least, just to clear the site if you were to pick it up.
Yeah, to clear the site, but then to get the relevant people onto the site to complete the due diligence. So that's the thing. We're sort of still a bit excited about all this. As you can hear, there were boxes ticked, but a few crossed. Where did it all go wrong for this one, Gav?
Okay, for me, when I was down on site, I'm always, as you know, I do a bit of a walk around, I'm listening for trains. Because it's a busy line there, I'd have to tell you that a train went past every 3 to 5 minutes. So it's not like you got a train every 20 minutes or something like that. They were frequent. So and look, there's nothing there to block the noise coming down the street. So
So is that train at level?
Yep.
So it's not as if it's down 10 meters or you're walking out your front door and peering to your left and you're seeing it fly by.
Yeah, and you're going to hear it when you're in the backyard, no doubt at all, particularly if the wind's blowing across the tracks to you. What I also did notice, and look, we saw them obviously with this view from above here, but there's some apartments here, or units if you want to call them that, and here as well. When I got down to site, and I think I've got some photos here. So there's your power pole and the tree.
Mate, the site comes with a free mattress. What are you on about? Bargain.
There were a few on the street, I have to say. And this is the reason why. And that's probably another one there. So we've got these apartments across the road, and look, they were pretty run down. There's no greenery on the site. There was rubbish out the front. Few people just sort of wandering around. Not only that, but there was one next to that, and there was another one next to that. And also directly next to our property, so across the road behind where I'm standing there, you've got these apartments here. And from what I could tell, this is what we were thinking as the private open space. So they look like they're all fenced off and private to me. So our designer was fairly right in assuming, because he wasn't sure himself, but he was saying, look, if that's what it is, then we're going to have to consider that with our design. Yeah,
great work. And I think the lesson there, guys, again, which keeps popping up, and you going down to these sites, Gav, and playing the buyer, playing devil's advocate and doing what people will do to your townhouses once they're finished. They will go down, they'll challenge them, they'll challenge the area, they'll challenge the outlooks, they'll challenge the noises, all that sort of stuff. Once you've gone down there, there's a couple of big boxes that couldn't be ticked, and train and immediate sort of, neighbours and certain clientele that you're about to be living next to, I think is super important that you did get down there, because from a desktop perspective, Caulfield East, tick, the Caulfield postcode itself, amazing, site size, off market, all these sorts of things, could have easily led someone down the path to sort of acquiring this, but go through 2 years, finish your townhouses, and then end up, with a few likely types floating around in that immediate area, but then also the train. Sounds like it could be an issue. So, yeah, well done for you for going out and doing the hard work, but that's the lesson for everyone playing along at home. Get down there, be the buyer, be the townhouse buyer, and make sure you challenge these sites.
Yeah, wait for the train to go past.
Well, it didn't sound like you needed to wait too long.
The time I was there, it went past quite a few times, I can tell you.
And the thing is, when you come into the office the next day, instantly, how'd you go? What are we doing? Is this something we're moving on? And you could see it written all over your face. And that's the thing. That's what buyers will do. Buyers are picky. They're savvy. There's never been more information out there. So exactly what you did, Ma and Pa or whoever the buyer might be is going to go there, and they're going to come back and they're going to say, that train, love, it's too close. It's it's not right. And for you to have 2 townhouses sitting there that you need good money for, it's not a position you want to be in. So, good work.
Okay, so we'll jump into the Feaso now. Have a quick look through this, just to sort of understand the numbers and why. I guess until I got down on site, it was still something worth chasing. So, buying it around 155, I think discussion initially was up around 17, but as we sort of worked through the process, there was a bit of movement in the price. So as you can see, buying in Caulfield East for 155, 700 odd square metres, you're going to have a look. Planning in place, your project management is there. So build cost, we had it at about 27,000 a square. We had allowed 28 square townhouses. We probably could have gone a little bit bigger, but just because we were worried about the resales, I think there was going to be a ceiling there no matter what, just due to the street itself more than anything. We've got our holding costs there in place. I did have a allowance there of 40K for a power pole. As you know, they can be anywhere between 30 and 50, but 40 would usually get the job done. There wasn't many assets on the pole, so we weren't too worried about it. Resales, look, these were just what was required to get us to 15%. So it was around 2,165,000. We had comps the street over at 2.2s. The comps just next door, the smaller corner dwelling was obviously less than 2 mil, but it was quite neat, and we thought it was actually quite small. So it was a good result, and we were pretty confident. If just the characteristics of the street and the surrounding area were probably just a little more tidy. If you had new dwellings across the road and a couple of townhouses, you'd probably be a lot happier. We would have probably felt quite comfortable with those numbers.
Yeah, I think, it's a good point. I think from a sort of desktop situation and comparables and those sorts of things, the numbers there are sort of something that we would move on. But I think you going down there and us just, diving into a development that had those chinks in the armour, they were going to get us at some point. They were going to bite us. So I think it's an interesting one. Like from a desktop perspective, that looks pretty friendly to me. But after talking to you after you come back, definitely happy we sort of passed on that. A lot of work goes into these things to have 2 years down the track, and be sitting there and have buyers telling you that you're too close to the train lines. Yeah,
look, those apartments weren't moving. That train line's not moving, obviously.
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel right for me. I wouldn't want my kids playing out in that street.
Yeah, perfect. Now, Gav, well done to you. And that's the thing. Not all these things stack up. A lot of them don't, but some of them get close. And this is an example of one that got close. We went deep. We put the work in for our clients. That's what we do. But we got to a point where we said, hey, we're going to pass on this. And I think from a client point of view, I think they really respect that and appreciate that, to sort of say, hey, I know we've done the work. Hey, we could do a deal on it. It is off market, but it wasn't something we wanted to move forward for our clients on, because it's super important that we do nail good sites. It is a good journey. They do get good resales, so they're repeat customers. So I think I think it's encouraging and it's good work, from yourself, Gav, to be able to say to a client, hey, we've done the work, we got close, but we need to keep looking.
Look, I do believe that when clients see the work that you do and the sites you actually knock back, it gives them more confidence. When you turn around and say, look, we've got a cracker here, this is something we need to move on, these are the reasons why, they're all ears. Well,
100%. You build that trust, and they realise you're not looking for the quickest opportunity. You're looking for the best opportunity, and that might be quick, it might be slow, whatever it might look like. But we know that we're going to have to manage this thing for 2 years, and we want that to be as successful as possible. So well done to you, Gav. One that got close, but there's plenty more in the sea.
We'll see you next week.
Nice. Thanks, Gav. Welcome back, guys. Project Snapshot. We've got Claire, brought her from upstairs, managing all her projects, head of projects here at Little Fish. Cracker site here. We spoke about the feasibility last week. So circle back to last week. Gav bought this site, suss out the feaso. These are the plans that we're going to look at. that we did achieve, that Claire and the team achieved. We're going to go through the things we worked on, the points that the team improved, and teach you guys some stuff. So welcome back, Claire.
Thanks for having me again.
Another exciting corner site here, Claire.
Corner site, 780 square metres just over, with 3 streets. Maybe not a corner site. Maybe the best site you've ever bought.
Best site we've ever bought. Yeah, no, it is technically not probably a corner site, but yeah, to have 3 street frontages and each townhouse facing each street separately is probably something new to us, but definitely an advantage, I think.
We always talk about identities, creating separate dwellings, separation, different street numbers, names, your own front porch, standalone homes. While these won't end up being standalone, we've ticked everything else.
Yeah, correct. I think like we sort of joke about, we're townhouse developers at heart, but the key to it is instead of turning them into townhouses, we try and turn the townhouses into houses. So the more we can play in the new house space, in this townhouse development space, the resales are better. The houses are that bit more attractive. And this is a great example of that, having, they will have their own street addresses. They will be whole numbers, I would imagine, because of that reason. And you can only see one frontage at any one time. You can't stand back and go, there's 2 houses together. You genuinely are standing on each street individually, looking at each home. So, like you said, even though they are attached, they don't sort of face each other, and porches are a long way away from each other. Driveways are a long way away from each other. So ticking some boxes here that we do like to tick. So yeah, well done. And we've got 3 on it and they all look decent sizes. So
yes, before we jump into concept plans, initial brief, very similar to anyone who listened last week and we went through McKinnon Road. Very similar in terms of what we want to achieve, but I'm excited to go through these concept plans because we talked last week, and I'll double down on it, about these size dwellings, your 22 squares, standalone sort of square designs rather than your straight side by side. Can you fit a master downstairs without compromising the areas? I want to jump into the concept plans because initially we looked at masters downstairs.
Yeah, correct. And I think, back to that sort of square design, as you were saying that, I was thinking, we talk in the old builders squares in here, but, talking a side-by-side dual lock that's a bit longer versus, a design such as this that is somewhat square, I think it's nearly like 2 squares. I feel like a 22 square here would be like a 24 square dual lock.
Yeah,
now,
I think we said that a few weeks ago on another job, and it's so
I feel
true.
Like you circle back to Hawker, that's 24-ish, I think, 24, 25. There's no more accommodation, or no less accommodation in this than there is in Hawker, and you're genuinely 2 squares different. So.
Because the only way, sorry to cut you off, the only way to get from the sort of your front entrance, let's call it study or bedroom at the front, to your living is via a long hallway. Here, it's a really short hallway. And
Correct.
that's dead space.
And there's usually 2 of them, one upstairs, one downstairs. Great point. But that's just an important note for people looking into these opportunities. If they are somewhat a really square design, which are more prevalent on corners, and usually more than 2, just with the way sites and the land is cut up. When you are looking at these and your designer says, I can achieve X amount, just remember that there is, with this type of design, you can play a bit smaller but still achieve the same amount of accommodation that you would for a longer side-by-side. So I think that's just something that we do take note of, that if you are more of a square design, so you can have less squares overall, but you will end up with similar accommodation to a longer side-by-side. So, great point.
That's really, really valuable knowledge, I think, because I would be if I was new to this, I would say 22 squares. No, I need 25, 26. I know that. You're right, you don't. I think that's really, really good insight. Do you want to jump into the floor plans now?
Yeah, let's. What was, I guess, the first set of plans we got, and I'd love to hear what were the problem areas that you and the team got drawn to that you thought you needed to fix. And if we can run through all those on the units, and then it'd be great to then go to the final application that has now got a permit, and how you solved those problems. I think they're the lessons that really the people at home would love to see, because they're developing, or they're looking to develop, they're looking to learn. What are the things that you get back from your designer from that first brief that you go, what are the things that you could maybe look to improve? And I think they're the things that really you want to get your head thinking around. How do we improve these plans? How do we challenge them? And I guess try and improve that final product. So where do you think the problem areas were for this one, Claire?
Let's start on the squares we achieved for this site. So they're between 21 and 22 squares overall. If I take you back to last week with McKinnon, it was 22 to 23. So you've got about an extra square per dwelling.
Yep.
A smaller site, Dorothea's a bigger site by about 40 square metres.
Yep.
Both maxed out. And you think instantly, how did we not achieve bigger houses? Two different councils, bigger setbacks at Bayside, which will take you there, but you'll notice upstairs is smaller. I was just having a look over this before you called me up. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Instantly you go, I think we've got a much juicier setback here for that one Dorothea address, which is to the right of screen for everyone. So that instantly you go, oh, bigger setback, that's an issue. But if you're saying they're both at max site coverage, it doesn't really matter about the setbacks. You're at max site coverage for both. And what'd you say? You got 40 square metres difference? Yeah.
So you instantly think Dorothea should have achieved bigger townhouses because we've maxed out both sides. But you'll notice when we go upstairs, I'm not going to say suffers, because we've hit all the items on the brief, and they're a great dwelling, but not as juicy or not as big as McKinnon, and that's the difference in size.
Yeah, difference from council to council. So definitely some lessons there, and good to sort of put into your due diligence before you buy these sites. And even the areas that you look to develop in. Obviously, we develop in a lot of areas, and we, opportunities come our way that, are sort of good in whatever council you go to. But if you are, someone that's looking to max out the site and max out size and all these sorts of things, and maybe you're early on in developing as well, because Bayside can catch you out. So if you're not on the ball and know exactly, what setbacks are required and all these sorts of things, what you think is a good site in Glen Ira may not be a good site in Bayside. So I think the lesson is Glen Ira is a safer place to play if you're not fully across the regulations in Bayside.
Yeah, just an interesting one I thought I'd start with. Now, Unit 1, floor plan. So again, went through the brief, 4-bed, 2 live-in, studies, laundry, pantry. Again, like we always say, the designer hit what we wanted, a bit of our wish list.
Yes.
I think what's interesting here, and I want to run through Unit 1, is we got the master on ground floor, we got the study, we got the pantry, we got the laundry, got kitchen, meals, living.
Got it all.
Got everything. And on paper, while you go, I've ticked every box that you want a floor plan to have, these spaces, they are very tight. This area here, this is a small kitchen, meals, living. And yes, whilst we have got a genuine master, maybe genuine is up for debate. We've talked about walk-in robes in the past. This is going to be tight. Are we wasting floor space here? This ensuite, very tight. A whole family in here. They're all, again, study. Is this space that should be going back into the most livable spaces of the dwelling? That was the biggest thing when we saw this, is this, when built, especially this area, where your whole family, you got to remember, 4-bedroom home, majority of Australians have 2 children. That area it's small. Yeah,
spot on. I think ticking a 4-bedroom box, I think is important in these, 100%. But a 4-bedroom home is suggesting that you're going to have sort of a handful of people in it. So the kitchen meals living, it needs to be, you need to put the effort in, you need to figure out how big these spaces are, because we know, because it's what we do day in, day out, and we go to finished product a lot, you know, they are small spaces. And like you said, ticking heaps of boxes. But the exciting thing is when you look at this, you go, well, we know that bed 4 can be a smaller scenario. We know that maybe we can put a study upstairs maybe, or a study nook somewhere. We know there's opportunity in this to create a better living zone there.
Yeah, and it's probably, you'll notice that both Unit 1 and Unit 3, they're pretty much mirrored. They're almost identical. Don't want to put myself in a corner here, but they're identical from memory. They're pretty much flipped. The middle one's slightly different, but again, we've got a master downstairs, but is 3x3 a master?
Snug.
You've got a really, really good study, but are you better at getting a study and a really small bed 4, or just having a really good bed 4?
Yeah, 100%. And these are all dialing into who is your buyer, you know, trying to anticipate this. And people are going to have differing opinions. Like if you're out there, Fisher, everyone else, you know who you are, Maxi, you know, talk to me in the comments, you know, ask Claire some questions, ask myself some questions around what do you think, you know, because these floor plans do tick all the boxes. You know, they are tick, 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 tick. On paper, they look great. The issue is when you get into them at the end, you're standing in the kitchen, you're in the meals as well. You're standing in the living, you're in the meals. It's sort of too snug. So jump in the comments, tell us what you think. Obviously, we're heading to the final designs. You'll find out what we went with and what we like. But please jump in, let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about.
Okay, let's go to upstairs.
Yep. So I think, like we said, recapping, the main thing down there is making sure that these living spaces are proper areas, and maybe sacrificing a couple of those tick boxes in the brief, which, like you said, the designer nailed everything we wanted and put it in there. And then obviously we've gone back and gone, you know what we said? We'll sacrifice that, and we'll put that space into there.
Yeah, there's no denying sometimes when we write the brief, we want more than what we can have.
It does genuinely look like a Santa list from one of my kids. It is. It's got everything in there.
Let's try for all of it.
And they're going ham on it, and they're doing their best.
And you know what? Sometimes you have to see it to go, this isn't working.
100%.
Whereas if we didn't get it all, we would have questioned it that we could have got it all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, spot on.
Okay, so to upstairs, we have achieved everything we wanted. Like I said, these are smaller than McKinnon last week, but they're still really good spaces. So you've got let's go to Unit 1, just an example. We've got your master. We have got 2 built-in robes. I know we often talk about if we can't fit a walk-in robe or a genuine walk-in robe, we're happy with really nice built-in robe joinery.
Like that, little his and hers.
A great size ensuite.
Yeah. A
nice size retreat, 2 great bedrooms, and a bathroom.
Yeah.
Moving on to Unit 2 and 3. Again, Unit 3, that's mirrored to Unit 1, but Unit 2, we've got a really good size master in terms of what we're achieving, and separate powder, main bathroom, and 2 bed.
Yeah, spot on. And I think, you know, you've been able to achieve that good walk-in robe in that Unit 2 there, leading into the ensuite, great sized master, great retreat, separate powder, good sized bath. But you can definitely tell that, you know, we are in Bayside. You know, we are in Bayside. You know, the areas just aren't as big. Even though super happy with them, we knew what we were setting out to achieve. But it is an interesting sort of, I guess, difference and somewhat correlation between 2 corner sites that I think you guys that haven't seen last week's ep, you should go and see the plans at McKinnon and just see the differences, because they are the same site. Like potentially this, like you said, this is a bigger site. So go back and just have a look at the space that is being able to achieve in Glen Ira with their regulations versus the regulations in Bayside.
And to be fair, the feasibility also talks to that in terms of resales. Dorothea will not achieve what McKinnon will achieve.
100%.
So it's all calculated at the start. I just find it an interesting concept and something that everyone getting into development should look at.
Should understand. I think because we're fresh off it last week, it's like,
It's
okay,
in our mind.
Okay, cool. You know, yeah, McKinnon's are definitely bigger, which obviously stack in build price and sale price. So the numbers don't lie; they're all in there. But like you said, some great learnings week on week.
And that is so McKinnon, for example, had 2 meters between the two dwellings. This has got just under 3.7.
Yeah, it's
That's
real.
that's a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, few changes were made to downstairs, which will affect upstairs. But as always, downstairs is the driver to upstairs. So we can jump into the refined downstairs if you're ready.
Yeah, great. I'm ready to see how we are evolved some of these sort of little problems.
Okay, so full town planning set we have here now.
Fantastic. Love the detail. Yeah, can really see it now.
Let's zoom in just a touch. So unit 1, what have we done? We've got a genuine entrance. We have a bedroom 4, which is a flexi room now, let's call it.
Love a flexi room, yeah.
We have a built-in robe, so it can be a guest bedroom, but it could be keep your doors open and you've got a 2 living space where, like you've said a number of times, kids playing.
Yep.
Next, you'll see that this living, meals and kitchen and pantry and laundry, I almost don't need to go through each one. Just look how clean, simple the design is and look at the size of the spaces.
Yeah, correct. I think, you know, they've all followed the same sort of pattern and same tidy ups, but, you know, I think the takeaways are the bed 4 going to a flexible type, you know, extra living zone can be a guest zone for sure. But that living, amazing meals, you can see, you know, the designers put the bigger table in there, island bench, kitchen, pantries, amazing, and then amazing laundry. So, you know, these are the things, you know, this is where people live. This is how they live and the things they buy these houses for. And now suddenly you're looking at an epic kitchen, meals, living that's very spacious, a second living zone in there with that bed 4, that flexible scenario, and then laundries, I think, are the unsung hero of some of these homes that, you know, practically that's how people live. You know, the laundry needs to support, you know, these families, and yeah, that's a ripper.
Yeah, another good thing I think to note is these entranceways. So we worked on that through the interior process, just about creating sort of these dividing spaces. Often with square designs, you end up walking into your living, and I find that to be a very apartment feel to walk in and have the couch. And so even if it's by creating a half-height wall or potentially some dividers with timber or some sort of feature, it creates a separation where you're not firstly looking at the TV when you walk in.
Yes. Yep. No, great point.
So I think that's really good. But flowing on to unit 2 and 3, very similar in the sense that we've created really genuine kitchens, a butler's pantry, you've got your own dedicated zone, meals area, and then a really good living, again with your flexible 4 bedroom.
Yeah, fantastic. Proper laundries, proper pantries, and just, yeah, walking into these and feeling like it's a home rather than an apartment style living. So sacrificing a study and, you know, that bigger master feels to the, I think, a more important box that you need to tick, and that's where people live, and the kitchen and the meals area. So, yep, fantastic work.
And something I always talk about, backyards in these homes, they're small, they're not where you want your services to be. I think we've done a really good job putting all the services in their own dedicated area, away from where this will be lush green grass with a lot of landscaping and outdoor deck. It's going to feel like a really good sized backyard. Yeah,
correct. And I think, and I know I've heard the murmurings about the trees and the tree protection zones that you can see the purple encroaching there on our footprint, but the outlook on especially unit 1 and 3, where they're private open spaces, are to the west there. Those amazing gums along the nature strip there will be a really nice outlook, looking out and being in the private open space, but also looking out from your meals and sort of your living zones out to those trees. So
I think we talked about it last week about established landscape in these brand new homes, create a sense of establishment and feels like you've been there. You want something that's lived in externally, right, in terms of what you're surrounded by. And even though, yes, these have had to do a bit of due diligence on it, they will be a really nice outlook.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, ground floor, I think tick, tick, tick. Great living zones. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think, not crisis averted, but if you're trying to sell these things and the living zones are too small, which I've done, it's what we do. We learn from our lessons. It can be a really hard, impossible thing to do, really. So I think, great outcomes, and great kitchens. I'm looking at those pantries, just going, that pantry is just sort of batting above itself. So for these townhouses, so fantastic.
Okay, so upstairs, as we always say, downstairs usually dictates upstairs. Although we were happy last time with upstairs, we made a lot of changes downstairs for the better. And I would say we have come out with a great upstairs. This master facing the street, you've got great northern aspect of light here, windows on both sides. You've got a great walk-in robe, which will completely walk through to your ensuite. And you've got that on both Unit 1 and Unit 3.
Yeah, I think that's, but I think that's fantastic. The Unit 1 gets all the north light coming in through all those windows. For me, that's a real master retreat, essentially. To be just flowing into your walk-in robe. Obviously, there's a door on the ensuite. I feel like that's going to feel like a very spacious master retreat.
Really nice. And I know you don't live in your walk-in robe, but to have genuine natural light, probably in anywhere in your house, but even in your walk-in robe, this is going to feel like you said, a retreat space.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing the skylights scattered through the place as well. So definitely love their input as well.
Then we've got the 2 bedrooms next to each other. We've got the bathroom and ensuite side by side, which is great for efficiencies when it comes to construction, which is great. And then moving into the middle unit, which is different to the outer units, walk up into our retreat.
Yeah.
Master bedroom, we've got the built-in robe and the genuine ensuite. Again, that northern aspects into the master is always a positive. And your 2 secondary bedrooms.
Yeah, nice, fantastic. And then, like you said, the third unit, quite similar layout to the first unit, which I think is a winner. So end of the day, you've got 4 bed, 2 living, or if you want to call it 3 bed, 3 living, depending on how you use the dwelling. But I think, the lesson in this one was dishing up living zones and kitchens and meals and proper laundries and pantries that are going to really, I guess, attract people to this product. We've found massive selling points, and the fact that, you guys were able to sort of shimmy that and shift that so the product can deliver those spaces is fantastic.
And going back to the laundries, the pantries, if these sell at end on completion, when you walk through those spaces, you want to know you can live in them. Yeah. They're going to sell your property.
Yeah, 100%. So, I think, some lessons from Glen Ira to Bayside there for everyone playing at home. Great outcome here, great land components for all these, that unit at the front, massive front yard, all fenced in, great outlook on these. So these are going to go really well. Do you want to just give us an update on where they're up to?
We are very close to breaking ground. I think it will be any week. So build contract has been signed, builder appointed, building permit within the next couple of days. The site has been cleared, builders established, waiting for building permit to obviously start, and then we're away.
Yeah, amazing. I think, fantastic. For another episode down the track, we'll dive into the contract period, the design, those sorts of bits and bobs. Then we'll be able to give everyone an update on progress out on site. Look forward to seeing the progress and look forward to seeing how that build contract and some of those challenges that you guys seem to navigate really well.
And then maybe some shots from outside when it's built, because I think these will have a great street presence, these 3.
100%. Thanks, Claire. Thanks for the insights, and this one's coming along nicely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Please, guys, anyone that's going to get value out of that, Fisher, I know you're still with us, so thanks for hanging around. But please drop in the comments any thoughts on the floor plans. Please let us know what's going on. Let us know what you would have done if you would have done different. Happy developing.